but then right at year 5, right, it came, they thought it was back and they had found something on my left kidney. And the moment for me was my wife told me that I was the missing man in my own life. My wife looked at me on the across from the dinner table. We had just found out that afternoon that I had actually beat cancer and everything was fine and the scare wasn't anything. And finally, I said the words to her as I was afraid to die. Right? I thought that I was just coming out of things. I was just starting to live life, and then it was going to be taken from me. The life that I had always been working towards was about to be taken from me. And she looked at me and said, and this is my current wife, she said, she's living the life that she's always dreamed of. She's amazed that we've done it, and she can't wait for me to join. And she thought that as soon as I was done building businesses, that I would come back and join life. And her view was that business was what fulfilled me. And my view was I was out building the life that was good enough.
Mm.
And that night she told me that I was obviously good enough because we had made the life that she always wanted. And then, she told me that I was the missing man in my own life.
Was this before or after this was after your son, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So this
So,
was this was just January 2024. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And again, and that was the shockwaves, right? Because we always talk about, you know, people going missing, right? And are you in your life or are you not in your life, right? And leave no man behind. And dude, I don't think it's just me. I think so many men are missing, right? They're
yeah.
missing the life that they've built, right? They're out building so much, doing so much great, helping so many other people, and they're not a part of it. They're not a part of the actual life that they're building.
What's your first step then for somebody who's like, oh my God, they have that epiphany moment, maybe their son, maybe they find out they're having a son, or their wife tells them that maybe they're on that brink of, destruction, and going to go through that first divorce and they don't want to, like I was.
Yeah.
Maybe they are in early stages of life. The modern man is, learning a lot more, the one that wants to, because there's so much information. They can learn all this stuff so much younger than, you and I could.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with the internet. I grew up, scraping my knees and crashing my bicycle. Um, what is that first step for that man that wants to start to take control of his life and not just be physically present, but actually be emotionally, spiritually present with their family, or be spiritually present with themselves so that then they can actually find a family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing, and I don't know your experience with it, but I have lost friends to suicide, right? I've seen too many guys kill themselves because they didn't think that anyone understood, right? Or they thought that they had gone too far. So for me, the biggest thing that I think men should hear and should know, and it's the reason that I talk so openly, and I think there's a lot of men starting to do this, is no matter how bad it is, you're not alone, right?
Mm.
Those feelings you feel, we all have, right? And it's allowing yourself to slow down, right? For me, when I was coming out the backside of it, right, and it was just thing after thing after thing, right? It was the cancer coming back, right? And then it was work, and the one thing that I said is I just need a break, right? And that was a moment of just give myself a day, right? And to do nothing more than just sit with myself and just let everything else drop away. And for
Mm.
me, that was writing. I would sit down and I would just write. But sitting in stillness, I think, is the first step, no matter where you are, so you can just reconnect with yourself and you can stop all the external stimulus and just allow yourself to stop for a minute and say, okay, where am I really at right now?
Mm.
And when you start taking inventory like that, and again, people will say, "Hey, that's a lot to face." And you and I talked about it up front. You already know, right? So you're not exposing yourself to anything that you don't know.
Yeah.
But stillness, and that is very hard, right? Because most men feel like if they're not out spinning the plates are going to come crashing down.